Honey, what are you thinking?
It is about time. How's everybody doing? How are you doing? I hope you're doing great. I'm doing wonderful. Wonderful. And it's about that time again when we've got a question or a topic to cover. And today's question seems to go something like this. Do you care about a girl's body count? Let me say that again. And just in case I forget it, because I always, not always, sometimes I'm exaggerating a little bit. Sometimes I forget to mention welcome to the Questions Ladies Wanna Ask podcast with your host, Jobs. And the question is, do you care about a girl's body count? To put it differently is, do men care about a girl's body count, or do we care about her body count? You know what I mean by body count, right? I don't mean like dropping people and all that. No, body count just means how many guys she's had sex with in her past, maybe in her present. So yeah. So basically you're asking about her body count. I've never asked personally. I've never asked that. I don't go asking it unless maybe she volunteers the information. But I know guys who really want to know about that. Who usually ask ladies that question. I don't know why. They probably have their own reasons. They probably want to know. Personally, I don't. But to answer the question, do you care about a girl's body count? Yeah, to a certain degree, yes. But only because it seems like a good way to judge her character. Judge, let me rephrase that. Judge might be a little bit of a strong word. So maybe I should use the word to determine instead of judge. So yeah, to determine what kind of a person she might be. So obviously, if she has a high body count, she's been around. It tells me something about who she is. I don't mind an average girl, but once the body count, that changes everything. Then once the numbers start rising, the body counts all the way up high up there. I don't care how hard or how much I thought we have a connection. No, we've just failed the compatibility test. If she has a high body count, forget about compatibility, forget about all that. I'm just not interested anymore. It's just like that. Because guess what? It matters to me so much that I wouldn't want to have sex with her. Like, even just a random stranger, if your body count was something up there, like crazy numbers, no, I don't want that. Even a fling. Most of us never ask, oh, all right, maybe a fling, because we never really follow up with that. We never want to find out. So with a fling, maybe, but with somebody you want to actually settle down with a high count, no, probably not. Just that naturally, it's not the typical question most guys just drop on the first meeting, but it might be a good idea, like, to start finding out. Maybe it's a good idea to start asking. But I'm not about to start doing that. So a high count kind of tells me you don't mind, like, you do it with not everyone, but almost everybody. Most guys don't find that very attractive. Like a high body count, not all guys, but most guys don't really find that to be like something awesome or something they're willing to work with. No. At the same time, there are guys who just don't care. So don't make the assumption that all guys take it that seriously. No, not every other guy. Some guys take it seriously and they want to know, what's your number? So, like, realize that this is not, I'm not being judgmental. If a lady, like, there are different cases, there are different situations. Like, if she's an escort or she's been in a similar career, something that involves her, like, getting physical with people, that's a completely different case. That doesn't count. But a typical lady, though, like a normal, in a normal type of job, that's where the body count matters. So that's where the case applies, and circumstances do matter. If she's in a different job, like I mentioned, yeah, you might not think about that, because you know if she's like an escort, that tends to happen. It might be part of the job for some of them, for some of those ladies or for some of those guys. But here we're talking about ladies, and yeah. So if she's in that kind of a job, yeah, I might be willing to go with whichever number if I'm actually interested in her, which does happen. But if she's just a girl, like normal job, the high body count, I don't know about that. Probably not. So, but a lady asked me, what if she lies? What if she doesn't tell you the real body count? It doesn't really matter because you'll never know, right? So I told her, like, she might as well lie, but stick to the lie, like, for good. If we're dating and you say a small number, a lie, no problem. I'll run with it. I'll go with it. But don't go changing the number later on in life and tell me, oh, you know that time you asked, or you know that time I told you about my number, my body count, oh, I lied. No, that's not cool. Like when you mention it later that you lied, not awesome. You can just stick to it. Stick to the number. Whichever number you give, just stick to it. If you feel like, don't give me the real number. Sometime later in the future, you better just stick to it, right? So if you want to, but if you're put in such a position, if you feel like you just want to be honest, tell him the truth, right? If you don't go forward with him, or if you don't go, like if it's in my case, we don't go forward, awesome, great. That was just not the right guy for you, and you'd rather know what he'll be thinking about you early in life rather than finding out, oh, he's not good with it, oh, he's not happy about that. So you don't have to tell anybody your number. Most ladies I know, they don't go telling the numbers. Quite frankly, if a guy asks them about the number, they just drop them right there. Like the date never goes any farther than that. They just won't let that happen. Like, why would you go asking somebody about that? So they don't allow that from anybody. They find it private, so they don't volunteer that information. And well, personally, I'll never ask. So I'll never ask, don't tell. Don't volunteer the information if somebody never asks, because you never know how they'll react to it. Yeah, it might be a deal breaker. Maybe he might change how he feels. So don't go saying it if he hasn't asked. And if he does ask, maybe he's not the right guy for it. Or you can judge and see whether he has something up his sleeve. Maybe he just needs to find out. Maybe he doesn't care about it. But if he doesn't care, he probably wouldn't ask. So you don't really need to bring it up. So there's a reason, like personally, I've never asked any of the ladies I've dated, because I just don't want to know. I'll see you different either way, and no point in that. If I ask and you say some crazy double-digit numbers, yeah, things might turn out a little bit crazy, so I'm just avoiding that. So problem is, if the number is not good, and chances are it won't be a good number, best we can do from that point on is be flings. We can date. Like seriously, my brain just turns off that switch just like that. It's like a computer program. Like, if high body count, exit. You say it doesn't affect anything? Oh yes, it does. I don't want anything to do with a girl who's had many dudes. Plus, it comes with a lot more baggage from guys. I'm not interested with interacting with those kind of guys, because there's a chance that if you dealt with a lot of them, some of them might still be in your present. You might think they're in your past, but some of them, if it's a huge body count, chances are some of them might still be trying to get in your present. If they're not already in your present, they might try that. And most guys don't want to go hanging out with you, and almost at every other place, every other guy knows you and stuff like that. No, that's the effect of maybe having a high body count. Yes, that's what I'm thinking. And of course, what I'm thinking is what some of the like-minded men are thinking. So yeah, guys just don't like dealing with other guys they have nothing in common with. So imagine if he has to deal with random people, say, oh, we hooked up once, oh, we were cool together before, something like that. No, he's not interested in all that. So I have things in common with my colleagues, friends, family, and the boys, apart from people like I interact with. Of course, the other people I have things in common with, like barbers, like the guy who shaves my hair, or guys who shave my hair. So yeah, I can interact with those people. So, but I found out with time and experience that her exes, Some are just the kind of people I like not want to interact with. Like they wouldn't fit in with the group of people I'm hanging out with. And in that sense, most guys just don't want to know. I know some guys might ask, I don't know why they find it necessary to gather that sort of information, like your body count, but personally, I'd rather not. Like I mentioned, you don't have to go telling anyone about the body count or your body count. Just doesn't really matter. If it doesn't come up in the relationship, let it stay like that unless you find it necessary to say it. You might have a reason to, and you can always let me know why you feel like you should give out such information. If you haven't been asked by anybody, but I really don't see the reason, maybe I'm overlooking something. But yeah, let me know. That's just how I see it. So to put it differently, I appreciate who you are as a lady, as a woman. Whatever you choose to do with your body and yourself, it's all your business. But to me, I don't want anything to do with a high or a crazy body count. Because high body count, you might ask, what do you mean by high body count? Like, what is the number? What qualifies as a high body count? Generally, I think when it gets to like double-digit numbers, yeah, that might just be where I draw the line. Double-digit numbers are a little bit crazy. The other guys don't mind, no problem. But for me and like-minded men, we do seem to have a problem with that. It just doesn't sit well with us. I know. I'll keep explaining it just to make sure it makes a little bit more sense. Call it experience, call it a long self-history. What we hear, most of us, it's several men. Like, I know you might say, oh, it's not about the body count, it's just experience. I mean, I got the experience. No, for us, what we hear is just a good number of men. You've just had a good number of guys. No sugarcoating it. I'm out. No matter how beautiful, sexy, lovely, best personality ever, like be a perfect match, the top celebrity, all doesn't matter. The other guys who don't care, and it will work out with them. But with some of us, though, not really. We're just not into it. But remember, the other guys who really don't care about the body count, and remember, I'm in the category of guys who don't really care about it, but I won't ask. So I won't go asking because I just don't care about it. Right? Especially, but if it's somebody I want to like settle down and all that, I'd still not ask, but it matters. Hopefully you never like say, oh, I had like 40, 30, what? 20, please. I'm out of there. Even double digit 10, all right, I'm done. Right? I'm just putting it out there. So yeah, that's just how I feel. Most numbers tend to sound like crazy high. I know even some single digit numbers still sound crazy. I'm like, girl, right? Is that all you've been doing? Like, what's going on here? So imagine what would happen if I heard some crazy 2 digits. Mind blown. Along with a quick glance at the nearest exit, and I'm out. Might be my loss, I know. I might be the one losing out on an awesome lady and all that, but my loss is a loss I'm definitely happy and proud of. I'm happy. I'm okay with it. I'll take that exit happily and never look back. I guess also maybe the age matters. Like if you're in your 50s, I guess a higher number might be acceptable. Like a higher body count might be acceptable because you've been around for a while. But like think about like early 20s and chugging out huge numbers. Like it's a bit different. The age kind of factors in. Like if you are young and you have a high body count already, it means you've been quite busy. So I think I'm having a little too much fun on this one. So let me get back on character. Let me switch back. So come to think about it, a guy who's really deeply like interested in you wouldn't ask you that question. He has better things to think about, like with you, like your personality, the good time he wants to have with you, the great time you guys are having hanging out, dating. So he wouldn't really go into this question, although I know a couple who do go after such questions. Most of us, though, never ask, simply because it's none of our business. to put it out there. And if I ever get to the point where I was asking, I don't know whether I'd be scared or probably not interested in just like, I'd probably just be looking for an excuse to not go ahead with the relationship. That's the best way I can think about it, because there's no reason for me to go asking if I'm really interested in somebody when we are starting out. Doesn't make any sense. I know some guys, maybe some guys are just insecure. They have a very low body count, so they might feel insecure when they're dating a lady with a higher body count. Maybe they feel like she's had more experience or something. So that might be a factor. Yeah, that might definitely be a factor. So again, I've never done it and will probably never ask. I've never asked about the body count, and I'll probably never ask. My current girlfriend, she asked my body count after years of dating, and I told her. But she did that. She asked that after we'd been dating for years. So, and then she told me hers, and it was all right because we had already been dating for a really long while. Remember, I never asked her when we started dating, and she never asked. It just never came up. Most guys never do it. Most couples, when they're starting dating, it never really comes up. I didn't even ask hers after she asked mine because I didn't want to know. Well, she still told me, and thanks gracious, it was a good, acceptable number. Yeah, it was good enough, or low enough. So, moral high ground here, not really. I'm not trying to be gracious or anything, just my preference. And as I usually say, it's my preference, and same thing with like-minded men, those who we share the same opinions. Not every one of them, but a good number of them. Older guys probably won't mind, since they've been doing it too, right? Younger guys do care. Younger guys kind of might think it's a big deal for them, because high numbers at a young age doesn't sound so good for, like, if she's a lady. And probably the same case applies to guys. I know if some ladies hear a guy has a high body count, they might think like, he's probably a player, probably just a playboy, a jerk, or a bad boy. So yeah, probably some ladies don't care about it. They don't mind, but some definitely do. I know I got friends, and they've mentioned it. Some of them don't really want a high body count. They might not ask it, but yeah, some of them might ask, and they probably wouldn't want somebody with an awesome, crazy number. However, don't get it wrong. If you're dating one of my friends or my brother, it's all right. Doesn't make a difference to me. The only problem is if I'm the one dating, because some of my friends and other male. Maybe people I work with, colleagues, some of them don't really care about the body count. So with them, it might be awesome. They don't care. I, on the other hand, no. Because remember, we're different, so everyone has their freedom to do what they want and to date who they please. Just personal preference for our own reasons. Maybe experience, maybe somebody has had a relationship with a lady with a high body count and it might not have worked out. Just statistics, like maybe I had 2 or 3 and I compared the ones who had a high body count and the ones who didn't have a high body count, and maybe the numbers showed that it didn't go that well with the ones who had a body count. That might be the reason I choose to date ladies with a lower body count. Not that every guy always knows the real number, but yeah. So, moving on, the situations we all know and understand, like peer pressure or duress, where the lady might have been maybe under pressure to have sex with whoever she was dating. Like in her past, maybe she needed to have sex just to please the guy. So, those are different scenarios which usually play a role in raising the number, in raising the body count, and that usually is not a huge problem. So in that case, it might add up to a slightly higher number than most guys expect. It might make the numbers much higher. So if you just say to a guy like, oh, I have my body count is 20, he might go, whoa, let's assume he's the kind of guy who cares about it. But once maybe you explain it, which you don't have to, but you might explain it like, oh, it's the kind I was dating, so yeah, it just happened. Maybe most guys don't, it's not really about the body count, it's about what happened with that body count. How did you accumulate such a high body count? If it was just about like expressing yourself, you just loved it, maybe promiscuity or something, yeah, that might be where the problem comes in. So should the conversation ever start, like with a guy about your body count, it would be great if the lady would put some insight into the number, like shed some light on it. How did you accumulate that number? Which you don't have to, but it would be good to clarify on so that he knows if he can work with it. If not, it's still great, still awesome. So some numbers just put us into overdrive. We assume the worst. So maybe since the conversation is already on the table, might be worth it just helping us understand that hopefully it wasn't like you were like being promiscuous, because most guys would not want that unless they just want to have you as a fling. Yeah, most guys don't want to like date somebody who has a promiscuous past if it was not part of the job. Like if you are not an escort, if you are just doing it out there, no, probably not. So if that's the case, still some guys love it and might want to be like, they might be into that. So yeah, you never know. So this doesn't apply here, but it's kind of like, let me put a different point. This is a different way of looking into it. How do you take it when a person says they've held 1 million jobs and none of those jobs lasted that long? Is it really that all these jobs were out to get the said person? Or maybe he or she wasn't capable of handling the job? What do you think? Like getting there, like maybe the said person we're talking about, an example of any person, let's say they couldn't keep that job and they've had so many other jobs, but they just couldn't keep those jobs. You might be thinking, what's the problem? Is it that you couldn't get there on time every day, like too many times? Maybe lack of enthusiasm, maybe you're not a team player, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of reasons. It's like a high sign. Like, yeah, so same case applies with a high body count. Some men tend to like think, oh, we go under the assumption like, what's happening? What's the problem here? Why does she have such a high body count? Might not be a problem, but we want to find out what's the reason for it, right? If the girl has had like a high body count, just means you've been with a lot of guys, like sexually. That might be. So we might assume that's just the kind of lady you are. That's the kind of lady she is if she has a high body count. We know there are different type of guys and different types of women. So some people want to try as many as they can in the spirit of freedom and my body, my rules, which is all right. We love that too. However, we cannot take it as given that there are no men who are just not. You have to understand there are some men out there who are just not interested in such a lady. I'd be lying to say most men are interested in having much to do with such a woman. It's just the way it is. Most guys would not want much to do with them. If it's just a fling, booty call, or something of the sort, something short term, extremely short term that will never graduate to anything better, no problem. Most guys can do it with anybody. That's just the way it is. But it's not right, but I know it might not sound right, it might not be right, but everyone has a right to be with who they want. Right? I've used the word right like 3 times in the same sentence. That's pretty awesome. I said like, it's not right, but everyone has a right to be with who they want. Right? Kind of poetic. Back to the topic. Remember the question is, do you care about a girl's body count? Like, do I care about a girl's body count? A woman's body count? And what do we mean by body count? You know, the number of men she's had sex with. That's the body count. So, for some men, it doesn't matter. I think I've mentioned that severally. If they're having a fling, or if it's a matter of a short-term relationship. The body count, however, is an issue if the guy is considering a long-lasting relationship. They need, or I can say we need to be with somebody who like we can trust and want to settle down with, including starting a family. Again, I speak for some men, not all. I'll be highly inclined towards the lady with the low body count. The lower, the better, especially when I'm thinking in terms of wife, mother of my children kind of thing. Yeah, you get it. Again, not every man, but there's a man out there for everybody. I know that. So the ones I'm speaking about, the men, the ones that care about all that, they care about the woman that will not only be their wives, but the mother of the kids. Call it instinct or nature. We just need somebody who will maybe set a good example for the kids. Believe it or not, whether we are afraid of that behavior seeping into our kids through whichever process whichever process that might be, maybe learned behavior, men are just overprotective about their kids. And they know they have this, those are their kids. That's where we're just trying to make sure they'll have a good chance of being good, responsible people in the future, the kids that is. So yeah, that's where you hear terms like, oh, she's not wife material, she's not girlfriend material, mother material. That's where such language comes in. So I know it's just probably just a mindset or deeply programmed into some men. It's just programming based on how we grow up and the environment and the people and all that. So we also find those women, the women that we're looking for, because as much as the men who don't mind the high body count, there are those who are absolutely against it. So nature takes care of everyone. Dating the sad person with a clear mind that we won't let it go far. So I might date such a person knowing, oh, it's alright, I don't really care, no problem. The body count doesn't matter. But considering such a person as a life partner, unfortunately, probably not. That's just me and other like-minded men. Other guys don't mind, they don't care about it. But some of us do actually care about it. Right? Yeah. We're still moving on. So religion kind of affects how we think and how we act and how the kind of decisions we make in life, including the kind of spouses we choose, the relationships we have. So remember, some of us are religious, not all. And our beliefs are completely against, obviously, a woman with a high body count or a person who values such acts, or a person who, or a lady in this case, who participates in such actions. I'm talking religion here. Most religions, I know they're against that for both men and women. So if I'm that kind of a person, deeply religious or kind of religious in some way, I'll obviously be inclined to avoid a lady with such tendencies. That just comes with the religion. Although most, even the religious guys, will date such a lady but would probably not consider taking the walk down the aisle with her. There are exceptions, of course, but most men or some men are just not going to do that. Probably not. Some of us were raised in a slightly conservative kind of family, so it's basically part of who we are. It's ingrained in us. The same way a lady who's had her fair share of women, the same way a lady who's had her fair share of men might have done it knowing she has the right and freedom to do with her body what she wants. It's just how probably her belief system. She believes she has the right to do whatever she wants, and that's the way it is, right? We do have a right to do whatever we want. Same thing that I'd assume that I have the right to get somebody who I'll be happy with, or somebody who didn't necessarily rake up a huge body count, just a belief system. The same way somebody else believes I have the right to have sex with as many men or as many women as I want. So we learn to, some of us learn to look down on such behavior, from a lady. So it just happens that we were not taught to judge or to try to put them down. That's completely against it. The lesson here is we have nothing. We're just supposed to have nothing to do with such a person. We don't have a problem with them. No, it's none of our business, but we just don't engage with them on a sexual level or on a relationship level. Some of them are our friends, right? If you have a high body count, it doesn't matter. As long as we're friends, we're colleagues, family, no problem. But dating, no, definitely not. Like, it's like serious dating. Yeah, for most men, they wouldn't want that. So sexual partners, maybe not. Fling, maybe or maybe not. Wife or spouse, definitely not. Definitely not. That's where you just draw the line. And moving on, in the search of true love, while looking for her Prince Charming, there are ladies who rake up quite a body count. Since, in this case, he was trying to find the right one, like the Mr. Right, or her Prince Charming. And in the process, she had relations with different men. Why? Because she was trying to find the right guy. You realize in relationships there might be that undue pressure to have sex with whoever you're dating. So this is different from the lady who decided life was hers for the taking and went on a sexual spree with as many guys as she could. That's completely different. Absolutely. So that's the lady I don't want anything to do with. The second one, not the former. The former was okay, the one who just had it because she was dating the person she was dating, but still it raises a little bit of a question. The fact that she's had to, maybe, if you're talking about crazy double numbers, like you had to date all those men, you might say maybe you don't have the way you choose them might not be the best option. But still, that's why I said it raises an alarm when you have a high body count. The chances that you were wrong all those times and you were doing it with all those guys probably still raises a lot of questions. Now, I know you probably were looking for Mr. Right, which is alright. Yeah, but still the question might still be there. It still lingers. So, yeah, I'm personally against extremes. Me and like-minded men. So, we are not against anything else. Just the extremes, like not so much about like having too many. Also, I'd be a little bit, I wouldn't know, by extremes I mean not too low, like a virgin, no problem, but also guys want to know, like, oh, what happened, oh, so maybe she just didn't want to do it, which is still alright. But a high body count is the other end, the other extreme end, which most people don't want to be at. Most guys don't want to date a person with at that level, at that extreme end. Although, yeah, it raises an eyebrow when you have such a huge number. Simply put, we want a woman who has some sort of control and limits. What am I saying? I mean, not allowing every other man to have her. If she's the sexual type, great. But some of us are just not into that. Others can't wait to wife is such a lady, so it's alright. If you're that kind of a person, if you like that, being free, like experiencing like whoever you want, great. So there's always somebody out there for that. But I've just told you how most of us want it and how most of us think about it, or what we think about it. So ladies, it's not physical. It has nothing to do with us feeling like you've used or abused your body in any way. It's all mental. It's that we think of the kind of person you are, and we assume you'll bring the same attitude into a relationship. So it has nothing to do with like, oh, I don't want to have sex with her because she had sex with so many other men. No, it's just mental. We're thinking, oh man, if she did that before, she'll probably want to do that later, right? And some of us just don't want that happening when we're dating somebody. So as you can see, it's not personal, just not something we'd want for ourselves. We don't mind it for other guys who are into that. Great for them. So just not for us. By us, I mean guys who are not into it. So that's her sexual history, her sexual past. Is it a deal breaker? No. It's who she is that's the deal breaker. Not what she did in the past, the reason she did it, for fun, definitely. It's not what most guys want. So some don't mind, others just do. But it's not a deal breaker. Like we said, you might have done it for different reasons, and that's what matters at the end of the day. So I know I've heard this before. I've heard stuff like, I like to explore my sexuality. What else? I'm sexually liberated. I am sexually experienced. A woman with a reputation. Well, that's just great. I'm just not into a woman who likes exploring her sexuality with different men or with a whole lot of men. Definitely not. If I'm thinking long term, then I prefer one with less experience. Less experience. We've mentioned exceptions, right? Above, we mentioned a couple of exceptions, and those apply. That apart, I'd love for that not to be a big deal, though. Let me just clarify. The only problem I would have with a lady with a high body count is that it might speak about her character, which means I might not be sure, even while dating her, that it's not something of the past, that she's just not done with it. I might assume maybe it's still part of who she is. It might mean she'll always want to be sexually liberated, right? Meanwhile, I want a lady I can date. So it wouldn't work out with her sexual wanting to explore your sexuality. Even, well, maybe I want to like get into some serious dating. So it just wouldn't pan out too well. She might also want to continue with that, and yet maybe I just want a monogamous relationship, which brings a conflict of interest, which quite frankly means we just couldn't meet eye to eye. I think I'm just about done with that. I needed to answer that because somebody said, no, you haven't addressed this question. Think about it. Do you guys care about girls' body count? Why? Why is it a big deal? So I hope I've covered that, but I know I've covered it. But let me know. Put in the questions, put in the suggestions, the comments. I can't wait to hear what you think about that. That's my take, right? And the take of so many other men who think the same way. But we always like hearing what you think and any other clarifications, right? So does body count matter? Yeah, I covered that. And with that, I think I'm going to stop right there. I don't think that there's anything else to address. But I hope you have a beautiful night or a beautiful day. And until next time, stay safe. I'm going to catch you later. Bye-bye.